Changes to public comment policy. I would like to change the public comment to 15 minutes. Also, right along with that, I would like to put on there that the only thing discussed are items on the agenda.
So I'll make that motion that we do just what Bill asked.
Do I make a second? Or can I make a second?
And Bill make a second.
I don't think so. So for discussion? I think you can because he didn't make the motion, you made the motion.
Okay. I'm gonna second it.
Okay.
Can I make a
I'll
comment?
open it for discussion, but
Does this mean you will allow us to be on the agenda if we call in enough ahead of time to add topics to the agenda to discuss?
if it's an action item, yes.
Okay. So we just have to make sure we include which action item it would be to Laura when we request the agenda item. Will you still allow us to discuss things in the department head work session following up on previous weeks?
That I'll give some thought to.
That'll what? What did
We'll
you
give
I
some-
said I'll give thought to it,
May I ask your rationale for this?
because I wanna make this a more acceptable place of business.
What do you mean by acceptable?
We have been hammered up here for months about doing things like other counties do. And this is what other counties do. You talk about what is on the agenda and that's it. And most counties give you 3 minutes.
But as our supervisors, we have the right to ask you questions and we have the right to have those questions answered. So when is the appropriate time that we, as a concerned citizen base, can ask questions of our supervisors who we have elected to public office and get our questions answered? Do you wanna do a one-on-one, Bill? Is that preferable to a group meeting?
We may do it for the first 15 minutes before the public comment, but public comment will be on the item agendas only. Karen?
Well, most of the things that either Mike or I brought up this morning, would not be allowed then, because we were both asking, bringing up concerns that other people sent us here for, or responding to something that was said here by someone else that we didn't even know was going to be on the agenda. So, most of the discussion that we just had for the first half hour, for the first 20 minutes, because she was on the agenda, would not even exist. So basically, it sounds to me like you're sending us all home. You don't wanna hear from us anymore. That's what it sounds like to us.
Essentially, you're silencing us is what you're doing.
Because I don't know how I would approach the topics I just brought up. Or the traveling west on 30 under the new rules. And they're not even controversial, they're just topics of question that other people are asking that we would bring up because they're not here. A lot of people are very shy, and a lot of people are like you, Bill, they don't want any controversy. They don't want to be backed into a corner, they don't want to be told, they don't want to be lipped off to, they just want to stay home and, have somebody please bring up the topics for them. That's the way people are.
Well, if I couldn't handle controversy, I would have never ran for this position.
Probably
I
you
knew
didn't
there
know
was
when you
not.
ran for this position that this was going to be happening, is my guess.
There's still other things other than just this that is controversy. I mean, we get calls all the time. People yelling about roads and stuff. It's
Sure.
just part of the job.
But you knew that was gonna be part of the job.
That's
But
part of the job.
you talk to them on the phone, they're not on the agenda.
I'll talk to you on the phone if anybody calls.
You know, I just don't feel that this is an appropriate time to limit these meetings, because we've got some very serious issues going on in this county right now. People need to be heard, we need information. I'm a concerned landowner, I have a right to information. I just feel this is not the right time to limit the ability to ask questions and get answers and information and feedback. You know, if you wanna change your protocol down the road, fine, but during this time where we are debating solar, wind, very drastic things that are happening to this county, I just don't understand why you would be limiting. You know, and Bill, I know I wasn't here last year, I can appreciate that these meetings were very contentious, okay? And I'm sure that there was a lack of civility, and I've apologized to you three for what I said here a couple months ago. It's crucial that people get the information that they need. And I feel like you're just basically silencing us, you're stymieing us, and that's not a democratic process.
It feels like a gag order on all of us, on
Yes.
TCAT, that's what it feels like.
So, Laura?
I was just
What?
curious, if you only allow us to speak on agenda items during public comment, when would you like the public to bring you new items that need to be discussed that may not require an action item? Like Heather brought up battery storage, we should get an ordinance in place for battery storage. While an action item may have been to request that zoning start on that process if we'd had a full zoning board. That's not necessarily an action item that would be required for agenda, but it is still information that the public would want brought to you for your awareness, and also for the public to know about, to share information. When would you appreciate that information brought to your attention if it doesn't include an action item?
That would come to us when we start working on the zoning ordinance, or the ordinance for solar.
Right,
We
but
will have public comments again during that.
but like the battery storage is not part of,
Yep, and hearings.
battery storage issue, for example, would not be part of the solar ordinance, it would be its own ordinance. And other issues that don't require necessarily an action item right now, but should be brought to your attention for future consideration. When would you like that information brought to you if it's not an action item on your agenda and it's not already on the agenda to discuss during public comment? When would we discuss that with you so that the public would also be aware that it had already been brought to your attention, so you're not bombarded by multiple people asking the same questions, and so they can also get feedback? When would that happen?
Probably, like I said, 15 minutes before our public comment time.
So we can still talk in that 15 minutes, but it's not official public comment time?
Right.
Is that still on, I mean, your department head meeting starts at 8:30, so is that still all part of the minutes and all of that discussion?
Our department head meeting starts at 8:30, yes.
Right. Okay, so that would still be a part of that, and we could still discuss, just not officially as public comment.
From 8:30 to 9 is gonna be department head.
Lady in the back there, Bill.
Yes.
You know, I sit here and I hear you say, Bill, I made this decision. And you're a board of three, I understand. You have been elected by the public, I understand. But you said to me, to all of us, that you've been hammered. Do you have any idea how long we have been coming to these meetings and we sat and heard no comment times three people? These are the people we elected, these are the people we want to trust. We want to work with you, we're not trying to be evil. But it hurts, it so hurts, when you guys would sit there and write down the line, no comment, no comment, no comment. Who do we go to? Who do we talk to? And now you're saying, I've decided you're going to have 5 minutes. It's just so hard. I've talked to people in other counties, and this one guy said, we have wonderful supervisors. They talk to us anytime you want to. They listen to what we say. You know, we've asked for a microphone. It's impossible to get anything. $100 microphone, it doesn't need to be 10,000. You know, we've asked for simple things, but why? Why can't, and Bob keeps telling us to get along. We're trying. We're just innocent farmers trying to keep our land beautiful like God created it. And yet you guys just, it's like, do you hear us? We pray for you constantly. I wouldn't want all the pressure you're under. But please, please understand that we care. We want to preserve our land. We want to talk to you. I don't want to be anybody's enemy. But we never know when there's another new rule coming. You know, like today, okay, now you're gonna have this and this and this. And then you say, I'm sorry, Bill, but you're one of three. You guys talk about all these rules and then decide, okay, well, now we're gonna cut them off here, we're gonna cut off here, they can't do this. Isn't most of what we're saying intelligent, good questions, good answers, people who just care about their own lives? We want to work together. We want so much to have a happy county. We really do. Please go. It was hard to come here, and every week, all we heard was no problem, no comment. Where did that come from? Who put that in your mind? You know, is there
Lawsuits put that in there.
The what?
Lawsuits,
Lawsuit put that in.
yes.
You were saying no comment before a lawsuit even occurred.
I don't believe so. I think there was a lawsuit filed against us. And that is when our lawyer told us to say no comment.
So Bill, are you tired of hearing the opinions of people and their concerns? Are you just tired, are you just fed up with it?
I don't mind hearing opinions. And we have told you we're not discussing anything about wind as long as we got projects going on. But it gets brought up all the time.
People are concerned about it.
I know people are concerned about
They're
it.
very concerned about it.
But there's lawsuits out there about that stuff too right now.
I just feel that people need to have a place where they can go to their governing body to express their concerns, their opinions. And I don't feel that process should be stifled whatsoever. Because the last that I knew, this was a democratic county, where people could come and ask their questions and get a good, honest answer. And yet I'm finding out today that it is being very much stymied. Who do I go to ask questions? I've got a 900-acre solar farm that's gonna be surrounding me in the not-too-distant future. Who do I go to with those concerns? If you're not willing to answer my questions, or give me the opportunity and time to answer those questions. Is there anybody else I can go to in this county who will listen to me? And who will hear what I have to say?
I think
Is there
we've been
anybody
listening.
else I can go to?
We
Is there
have
anybody that'll listen to me?
started a process to do something about solar energy.
Right,
So I would say we're probably listening.
right, but yet I can ask all the questions I want, but yet I'm not getting the answers yet. And don't tell me to chill. I've been chilling since February. March, April, May, June.
But Bill, if we'd had the rules you're proposing, we would not have been bringing up solar since last fall, and we wouldn't have even started this discussion to get a solar draft going. So, I mean, I get that you've been listening, but if you change the rules, that cuts down on what we can bring to your attention to listen to and get more information on. So while you have been listening, changing this rule to shorten the time and the topics of conversation that would really cut down on the information that can be shared amongst yourselves and us, as far as, you know, where the county's heading with what we're gonna be talking about. So I'm with Lynn, I feel like you're really cutting down on the opportunity for good communication on both sides to get conversation flowing for future action items, even if it's not a current action item.
What would be so difficult with doing just a time range for public comments? 15 to 30 minutes. Now today we had no problem filling 30 minutes, okay? But other weeks, yeah, it gets a little uncomfortable. As board chairman, you have the right, you could cut it off at 15 minutes. But yet you would still have an option that, you know, if there are other people who wanna come here and present their concerns, you are still allowing yourself that 30-minute time limit. So I guess I don't understand, what is the real need to cut it off at 15? Give yourself a range, and that way you've got both areas covered.
That's not a bad idea. I gotta tell you, I was in favor, if it wasn't my idea even, to do that, the 15. It was that, you know, today, everybody came up, boom, boom. That's, before the first couple weeks you did it, we sat silent for quite some time, so the range thing does kinda make sense. I would be in favor of that, but I just gotta let you guys know that I'd like to see it go to 15, just because of nothing happening, you know? We'd sit here for 2-3 minutes and nothing happened, and then you'd come up. Now, if people don't sit and wait and come up and do it right away,
Okay.
I can see a time range. I don't think that's impossible. I mean, that would make sense to me, but
I've also mentioned it before, though. Part of that was, I know Richard would wait towards the end to make sure nothing else came up from other people that would need to be discussed again. I would often try to wait towards the end to make sure nothing needed to be, you know, counter-argued if somebody came up to discuss something. So yes, since Bill had said we couldn't talk more than once, some of us were waiting to see if other people spoke first that needed to have a counter discussion brought up. So that's part of what caused some of the silences, is people weren't coming up early enough because they didn't want to have somebody talk after them, or they wanted to make sure they could, you know, discuss something that had been come up earlier. But then the other thing is, before the rule changed on May 1st, we never had trouble filling that 30 minutes when it was more of an open conversation, kind of like it is now. I know some people don't like standing in front of the crowd while they might speak up, which I get, that you don't want to have people talking that aren't, you know, positive enough to come up and discuss it openly with the whole crowd, but you know, walking up does add a little bit of extra time, and just, I think part of it was the whole we can't talk more than once issue. People were trying to play a chess game with it. I don't know.
If we had the cancel rule that is being implemented right now in southern Tama County 6 months ago, we would not have been able to tell you guys about the solar coming in. Craig would not have been able to tell you that he had been approached for solar. That would have been non-topic. You wouldn't have even known about it, because when we told you about it, you did not believe us. And there's been many, many things that we have brought to the table that you did not know, because we can do a lot of investigation and research. You guys have your jobs and you're overwhelmed with all kinds of stuff, and this happens to be our topic of interest right now. So canceling us out is also canceling out a lot of information that we get nonstop. But I will say one thing, if you cancel us out, Tammy's right, we won't need microphones.
What?
That's an old topic.
That's inappropriate. I did not decide. If you have a problem with it, I told you before, you take care of it with them. It had nothing to do with me. You have a problem with it? Right there they sit. You have 15
I just
minutes
brought it up.
every week. Well, there you go.
Defensive.
I don't mind helping, but I do mind being disrespectful and condescending to someone who's done nothing to you. I have nothing to do with you. I am merely here every week, and you continuously are rude to other people. Hence, that's probably why they have an issue with what goes on here. That right there. Right?
Amen. You get the
Practice what you
last
preach.
word.
Practice what you preach.
And that is one reason I'm doing what I'm doing, or want to. Because Dan and I both said, I am not in favor of spending any money for things like that while there's lawsuits going on. We are spending money on lawyers. So, there's a motion on the table. It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything you wanna do, Dan? Would you like to?
You know, we could do a 15, just as we're talking. What would you think, we do a 15 minutes from 9 to 9:15? Let people talk, discuss what they want to, we can answer 9:15, 9:30. Then just do everything that's on the agenda, nothing else. What would you think about that?
I could go along with that. And that'll be the motion,
Yeah,
I-
we could,
do the 15 minutes beforehand,
I could roll on that, but I cannot say aye to the other part.
and then,
If you wanna separate them, that'd be great.
no,
and then the
we're not
9:15 to
separating.
9:30, agenda items only.
That gives everybody a chance to say what they wanna say, and ask what they wanna ask. But we can kind of condense this down to where you have a flow, and you get, don't sit here for 10 or 15 minutes and nobody's saying anything.
So what about the meetings when, say like when solar draft number 2 comes out, if people are gonna have a lot of questions about it?
That's totally different than this. That's gonna be different than this.
So will there be more allotted time to discuss that
I'm
then?
sure there will be. Laura, how long
Yeah, when you normally have public hearings, you open the hearing at whatever time you pick, and
Okay,
you hear all the public comments, and then you make it go afterwards, and you make
okay, so that's gonna kind of be a separate issue then?
Yes,
Just a quick question for clarification, since we're splitting that to all topics open from 9 to 9:15 and then agenda topics 9:15 to 9:30, does that mean if I speak at 9:15 about a new topic, I could speak again about an agenda topic later so that I'm not pulling the agenda topic up?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
So, you wanna?
Amend it,
You wanna amend that motion?
yes.
Okay.
Amend it to 9 to 9:15, comments, 9:15 to 9:30, action items only.
Comments on action items.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll
We
make
don't
that
need a-
motion.
yeah, we-
I'll second.
They always
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?